Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, ladies and gents, we wanted to show this to you the other day and I didn't have it pulled up, so I'm showing it to you now. This is taken from this particular site with this young lady. You guys have seen this on YouTube, where a woman drives without a license and tells how. Then you see the idiots who come online and say, "No, the people who are telling you don't need a license to drive, they're idiots, they don't know what they're talking about." Ladies and gentlemen, on their site, they show you the California code. These are the codes that I told you when I was 15 and a half years old and I had to take the driving test because I was able to get my driver's license at the age of 15 and a half before all of my so-called friends got theirs. Ladies and gentlemen, I read the test, studied it from front to back. That's the way I was trained. Sorry, grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. We were taught to do the research, study the information, get to know the details. That was the way we did things back in the 80s. Thorough. I read the so-called driver's handbook from cover to cover. The parts I didn't understand, I reread and reread and reread until I got it. The one point I knew when I read it was this. The very first thing right here. Provisions of the code applicable to drivers of vehicles on the highways apply to drivers of all vehicles while engaged in the course of employment of the state. Then I read this one. This one is right there in the same code. Commercial vehicle, it was in 1983. Commercial vehicle is a vehicle of a type required to be registered under this code, used and maintained for transportation of persons for hire. For hire! Not for lower, for hire. Means you are doing it for business, for profit. See, compensation or profit. I wasn't looking at that part. I was just explaining what hire mean. Or designed or used and maintained primarily for transportation of property. Commercial business, people. That's why it's called a commercial vehicle. Or a commercial driver's license. Heard of the CDL? Commercial driver's license? They only gave it that name, ladies and gentlemen, because they were telling everybody it applied to truck drivers. It didn't apply to truck drivers. It applied to everyone who was conducting business. That's why bus drivers, they call it a chauffeur's license. The reason why I call it a chauffeur's license is because it's a commercial license. All right? Yours is a commercial license because you're doing it as a benefit. You're receiving compensation. The benefit is your compensation. Okay? Notice what passenger vehicles, house cars, these are not used for transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit, are not commercial vehicles. This subdivision shall not apply to Chapter 4, commencing with Chapter or Section 6700 of Division 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go what acceptance is all about. Pay attention to this because this happens in all of your states, every single one of your state. This is the situation. That's right, I said situation. California Vehicle Code 17460. Just go ahead and type it in. You don't have to trust this site because this is just some site somebody put up. So just look it up. The acceptance or retention by a resident of this state, remember you have to have a physical address in order to receive a driver's license or vehicle registration. I actually went to the DMV and told them I was homeless. I'm not joking. I told them I was homeless. Man, they hated that. Okay? But anyway, of a driver's license issued pursuant to the provisions of this code shall constitute the consent of the person that service of summons may be made upon him within or without this state, whether or not he is then a resident of this state. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part that you want to focus on. The same part that they focused on, but they didn't focus on it the correct way. Shall constitute consent of the person that service can be made upon him or her. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this means that you consent to receive service of process. That makes you the registered agent You must withdraw your consent. You must resign your consent. You must do that. It is not a choice. If you don't, then you consent to be served and to be brought in on any action within the state. Don't worry about the rest of the words. You must understand, we just did a video on statutory interpretation. That will be up before this one. Understand statutory interpretation. What you need to understand is shall constitute consent of the person that service can be made upon you. It doesn't, they just because they mention summons, they want you to focus on summons. Because if you can receive service of summons, then that means you can receive service of a warrant or service of anything else. How do you prove this? Well, let's see how they covered all bases. Let's go down to the next one. The acceptance by a resident of this state of a certificate of ownership. What certificate of ownership? Certificate of ownership, a birth certificate? Or a certificate of registration of any motor vehicle. Remember, we don't drive motor vehicles, we drive passenger vehicles. Y'all don't hear me because y'all don't pay attention. We drive passenger vehicles. These are not commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles. They do not transport people for hire or compensation or profit. They are not commercial vehicles. Okay? Now, let's continue. Motor vehicle or renewal thereof, or getting a certificate of ownership or a renewal of your registration, because it says registration, certificate of registration, issued under the provisions of this code shall constitute consent by the person that service may be made upon him within or without this state, whether or not he or she is a resident of the state. It says the exact same thing, don't they? They cover all bases. Why? That in any action brought in any court of this state upon a cause of action arising in this state out of the ownership or operation of the vehicle. Wait, let me show you, because y'all don't get it. Y'all don't hear me though. Let's do laws you didn't know about. Okay, y'all ready? LAWS. You did not know about. Yeah, we'll do it all caps. Got to take that all caps off. I'm not yelling. I promise you I ain't yelling. Anyway. Uh-oh. Not in my documents, it ain't. Huh. It most definitely should have been in my documents. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it in the morning. Sweet breeze in the summertime. Feeling your sweet face. All laid up next to mine. Making love in the midnight. And good sleep come morning light. Don't worry about nothing. Just getting good. Just getting good. Just getting good love. Do it again. You remember the Staple Singers and Do It Again? That's when music was music, y'all. So I'm going to put y'all on pause while I look for that document because you see how long it's taken. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the laws you did not know exist. You can find this on the, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is the laws you did not know exist. You can find this on the SATCOM download section of the website. This includes Presumption of Law, okay? And as you can see, the very first section is presumption, now, anticipation, assumption, belief, conception, conjecture, conjecture, deduction, grounds for belief, hypothesis. Hypothesis are not based on fact. Opinion, postulate. These are all of the words they have given for the word they created. Presumption. Okay, this is a word they created. Okay, one who grants anything to another is held to grant also that without which the thing is granted, is worthless. Look, this is their stupid law, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And so I put that in a document so you guys could know. This came from annotated case law for Article 3 of the Constitution. Presumption, evidence, and inference as to the existence of one fact from the existence of some other fact found on a previous experience of their connection or shion. No, sorry, the Spanish thing. Let's go down to the part that I was trying to tell you guys about regarding the courts, regarding the driver's license. Sorry, I gotta find it now. Coin dollar, it's not that section. I'm looking for jurisdiction. You know what, let's just go ahead and do that. Instead of me searching everything, let's go with find, and we're gonna do jurisdiction. Jurisdiction. Not looking for that jurisdiction. We have 127 different jurisdictions. No, that's Poole and Avery. Nope, that's also, those were talking about pro se litigants' rights to blah, blah, blah. Now, this is what you all need to know. I've been telling everybody this. They cannot dismiss any of your paperwork because it's not in the format that they desire. Now, all pleadings must be as any reasonable man or woman would understand clearly written affidavits of fact and law. Okay? That's the Judiciary Act of September 24th, 1789, Section 23. This says Section 234. That's of the 21st, the first Congress, but of the actual Judiciary Act is Section 23. Okay? No. See, this is the actual Judiciary Act, and I don't really care for it, but that shows you how far we have to go. This is the section I was looking for. This is the action section. See? Absent of argument or other administrative argument of jurisdiction and other administrative arguments. They are administrative courts. Look, one problem is few people can recognize the difference between a court and an administrative tribunal. See administrative law, which tells us it is the acceptable rule, not in state courts, but also in federal courts as well, that when a judge is enforcing administrative law, they are described as mere extensions of the administrative agency for superior reviewing purposes as ministerial clerks for the agency. Okay, most of these cases you're going to find California. Why? Because I told you, everything starts here. It is impossible to prove that jurisdiction exists absent a substantial nexus with the state, such as voluntary subscription to license shall constitute consent of the person that services some voluntary subscription. Acceptance, you accept it, they gave you an offer, you accept it, thus a contract. It is impossible to prove jurisdiction exists absent a substantial nexus with the state, meaning something to tie the two, such as voluntary subscription to license. All jurisdictional facts supporting the claim that supposed jurisdiction exists must appear on the record of the court. Why do you think they introduce into court cases your driver's license, your social security number? So you must withdraw your consent, people. Let's continue. Where a person is not at the time a licensee, pay attention, neither the agency nor the official has any jurisdiction of said person to consider or make an order. One ground as to what jurisdiction or want of jurisdiction was, the accused was not a licensee and it was not claimed that he was. What you have to do is withdraw. Oh, the Department of Professional and Vocations. Ladies and gentlemen, withdraw that consent. Well, how do we do that? How do you withdraw consent? Well, Google it. Don't ask me, people. I'm not supposed to tell you how. You are supposed to figure out how. God, I'm only providing you the information. I'm showing you the information. Now you have to do what I do all day long. You have to allow your minds to work. One guy told me watching my video is making his brain hurt. You guys know the feeling. He's not the first one. So many of the others of you have told me the same thing. Well, if watching my video make your brains hurt, then that means that you're using facets and faculties that you have not used that often. So, ladies and gentlemen, start exercising that portion of your brain. Stop looking at all that junk television and exercise your brain. Stop reading those stupid novels and those stupid books that don't amount to nothing. I don't care who wrote it. It's just some idiot's opinion. Stop being distracted by that junk. That's why society produces that, to keep you guys distracted. We talked about people being asleep. Okay? Conscious, but comatose. Cognitive comatose syndrome. CCS. A judge ceases to sit as a judicial officer because the governing principles of administrative law provides that the courts are prohibited from substituting their evidence, testimony, record, arguments, and rationale for that of the agency. Additionally, courts are prohibited from substituting their judgments for that of the agency. The judges are incompetent. They cannot substitute their evidence. They cannot substitute their testimony. They cannot substitute their record or argument or rationale for that of the agency. They work for an agency. And believe this, pay attention. Judges. A judge ceases to be a judicial officer because he's enforcing administrative law. What is administrative law? Statutes. You know, I looked for this case, and you know what? I have not been able to find this case, and I realize why I have not found this case, because this case is not published. That's why. But I like K.C. Davis, administrative law, of the Administrative Law Review on Westlaw. Ladies and gentlemen, he says, a judge that becomes involved in enforcement of mere statutes, civil or criminal in nature, or otherwise, acts as a mere clerk of the involved agency, or a ministerial clerk. You'll see it in a minute. He says again, their supposed courts becoming thus a court of limited jurisdiction as mere extensions of the involved agency for superior reviewing purposes only. That's why you always hear the appeals court talk about they're just there for superior reviewing purposes. When acting to enforce a statute, a judge of a municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity. Courts in administering or enforcing statutes do not act judicially, but merely administerially. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. The basics in our law that an administrative agency may act only within the areas of jurisdiction marked out for it by law. If an individual does not come within the coverage of that particular agency's established enabling legislation, the agency is without the power to take action which affects him. Ladies and gentlemen, without a license, if you don't have a contract with them, they can't do anything, and this is the Supreme Court who made this decision. Okay? This was the United States Supreme Court that made that decision. It is not every act legislation informed that is law. Just because somebody says something is law doesn't make it law. So you must ask for them to show you the law. Show me the proof that that is law. Okay, this case right here, I like the fact that they took the case and they put it here, 1884. But then you see it says 1884, but it says 1984, so I believe there's a more recent case. Oh, sorry, didn't know what that was. Didn't ask for it. Consent in a law is more than just a formal act of mind. It is an act and unclouded by fraud, duress, or sometimes even mistake. Here's the point. See, every consent involves a submission, but it by no means follows that a mere submission involves consent. Shall constitute consent by the person that service you elect. By getting this, that you want to receive service. So when I showed you guys the document that we're putting this in our affidavit, and I told you I took that directly from the law, I took it directly from the law. I just didn't add all of this. Now, what I want you to understand is this right here. Notice where it says federal or state, in the state, in this state, in the state, within this state, this state. Whenever it says that, it's going to tell you what it's referring to. Hold on. Taxation. These are all tax codes. Taxation, health and safety, taxation, 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 taxation. All tax codes. All tax codes. This is what you're doing, people, when you're getting involved in this stupidity. So let's go. We're going to go here. in this state means within the exterior limits of the state of California, and includes all territories within these limits owned by or ceded to the United States of America. See, it says it covers all the other states outside of the state of California. Well, why? How can they do that? Simply because you consented to be bound by that. You see, shall constitute as consent upon a person to receive service of summons may be made upon him within or without this state, whether or not he is then a resident of this state. So that's how you can move to another state and they can still issue a warrant for your arrest in a different state. You have to resign. You have to resign. You have to withdraw consent. You have to tell them, send them your notice of resignation of registered agent and notice of resignation of receipt of service of process. So just add that to your notice of resignations, ladies and gentlemen. Notice of resignation of receipt of service of process. And give them an address to send it to. Secretary of State's Office, Washington, D.C. Secretary of State's Office, Washington, D.C. Let them receive it. Or give it to Secretary of State's Office for the state that you're from. Let them receive it. Or the Attorney General's Office. Let them receive it. But you don't have to receive service of process. There's no law requiring that you receive service of process. Hey! Dun, 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 dun. Song has no words. You guys know this song, don't you? Has no words. But it's all right, ain't it? Anyway, this is just to let you know that we've been telling you this for years. This is what I want to tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, the people who put this together, the original laws you did not know exist, which you can't find this anymore. It's all over the internet. So what I did is I put this back up on the internet because it took me years to find this. I thought I had lost it. Okay, but I hadn't. What they did is they gave you an outline. They told you how the courts are set up. They first explained to you about the administrative courts. Then they tell you about licensing and how when you get a license or a privilege or something, it makes you bound within a jurisdiction. Because do you remember? I want you to pay attention to this. These guys, whoever put this together, in the order that they put it together, they put this together in an outline. This is for you. SATCOM911.com. Oh, wait, hold on. Because some of y'all ain't getting it. Y'all keep asking me for documents. Well, where can I find this? Where can I find that? And by the way, if you can't find it on SATCOM, don't come talking to me. I gotta refresh this page. There it is right there. Our programs. This is SATCOM911.com. Let's go to home. We gotta go home because, you know, if you ain't been home. And this page right here, our programs, this is for the birth certificates. We have something there for our property mortgages, but we're not running the mortgage program right now. Okay? We're not running the mortgage program right now. It will probably be sometime in October, November before we are ready to do the mortgage program on a broader and wider scale. However, you will go to SATCOM911.com, you'll go to downloads, you'll click on downloads, and here is where over 8 gigabytes worth of documents are. Go to those 8 gigabytes worth of documents and download everything. Ladies and gentlemen, sit up there and just let it download at night. Download everything. Get yourself, let's see if I can show it to you. Now, it's not going to download that because it's only going to show it as a link. Okay, but this is called Internet Download Manager. Ooh, can I get Internet Download Manager? Sure you can. You go to Pirate Bay. Now, please understand, Pirate Bay just lost the case with the European Civil Court. And so the fake European Civil Court, pay attention. Let's do IDM. You don't have to do Internet Download Manager. You just do IDM, like IBM. But ID is in David, M, Internet Download Manager. And you go to the piratebay.org, not the piratebay.com, not the piratebay.eu, not the piratebay.this, not the piratebay.org. You go there. Why do you go to the piratebay.org? Because that's usually the site that you're going to get the best results. Okay, are there viruses on the Pirate Bay? They are, but many of the people will warn you about the viruses. See, when you get to a page like this, what you do is you scroll down to the bottom. We can't scroll down because the page is switching to this page. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to pay attention. Internet Download Manager, Internet Download Manager, Internet Download Manager. Seeds. You're looking for seeds. The more seeds, the better you are. 0 seeds, you ain't getting nothing. Okay? You ain't getting nothing. Nothing. Just that simple. Okay? So, and I want you to know that many of them have viruses. Okay? I cannot help that. That is not something that I can deal with. It's not my fault. I didn't put those viruses there. So don't contact me saying, but Ehan, and some of you don't want to call me by my name. I told you my name has been changed. You want to call me by whatever you want to call me by. Those of you who choose to do that, I will delete you and block you from my email account permanently. You will not be allowed to call me. You won't be allowed to contact me, and you definitely are going to be barred from even thinking about commenting on my site or page. And then some of you are leaving some very derogatory comments on the actual page for the site. People, I don't visit my websites. I don't have time. So you can leave your derogatory comments. I'm just going to delete them. Okay? I ain't got time for your stupidity. And yes, the idiot, God, they don't realize how much control they don't have. I have all the control. It's my site. I get to remove your junk when you put it on my site. So there's no reason for it. But some of you just want to go through the stupidity, the hassle. See, now pay attention. This one says this was uploaded today, and it says it's 2.3 megabytes. Well, there's something wrong because all the other ones are 7, 10, 6 megabytes, 10, 3 megabytes. Okay, so I'm a little weary, and I should be, and so should you. That's the other thing you do when you're downloading a torrent. Now, by the way, if some of you are familiar with the Pirate Bay. Pirate Bay has TV shows, music. Sorry, it even has that other junk that is not necessary for people to watch. This P word. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not telling you this so that you can go on a download feast, because you must have a virus. I'm not a virus, but a VPN. This is called VPN. Voice over protocol or something like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right now, I don't know what country we're in. What country is that? We're gonna don't want to go to China. No, we can go to Japan. No, Spain. I'd rather go to Japan, but we'll go to Spain. Okay, and we're gonna stay there. Okay, let's see. Who are you? Let's go. I want to find out who this is. Sweden. Okay, so we're gonna go to Spain, and we're gonna get it. Now I'm just looking to see if there are any comments, and sometimes that's what you're gonna get. There are no comments here on this particular one, but this is 6.29. It's the latest build, so-called. So I want to see if it's the latest build. We're gonna download it 2 ways. We're gonna do it that way, and we're gonna download it with Internet Download Manager. I'm gonna download it with itself and download it with Torch browser. This is just me showing you, ladies and gentlemen, how to download. Okay, I've done it before, how to download our videos, but that's all this is showing you. Internet Download Manager, that's what you're gonna need. Now let's get back to your consent. As I told you with these gentlemen right here, they put this in order for you. They literally put it in order, and understand this right here. There's a word that they use. Oh no, we went too far down. There it is right there. This word right here is very important. You know how some documents that you guys have been signing and putting into the court talking about respectfully submitted? Ladies and gentlemen, you don't ever want to do a submission. See, every consent involves a submission. That means you're submitting. It means you're becoming subject to whomever it is you're standing in front of. Don't do that. Don't submit anything. You either present or you don't say anything. Just say respectfully and sign your name. Okay? But no submit it. Leave that word out of your mouth. Attorneys have to submit to the jurisdiction of the court. You do not. Okay? But like I said, these guys put this outline together so you guys could understand, and they were not. They were not out of their minds. They knew exactly what they were doing when they put this together. We have this once jurisdiction has been challenged. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, they don't give up about your challenging jurisdiction. They've been ignoring all of that because you have already consented. Once you've consented, you can't challenge it. Now, in U.S. versus Lopez and Hagan versus Levine, both void because of lack of jurisdiction. Here's the problem. Oh, and get this word out of your mouths. Okay? Get that word out of your mouth. None of you should be saying sovereign anything. You don't want to be associated with sovereigns. You don't want to be associated with no group or movement that has been classified or deemed to be a terrorist organization. Okay? You don't have to explain it. You just say, I'm not. Just that simple. Okay? But again, like I said, the people who put this together, put together a nice little outline for you guys to follow. Where can I find that document? I just told you where to go and find that document. Okay? It is wonderful, ain't it? Oh, y'all know this song. This is When My Poor Heart Is Breaking Apart. She put it back together. Yeah. Oh, honey. The song is called Oh, Honey. I love this song, you all. This song I grew up listening to. This is just a melody, but whoever put that together knew what they were doing too. All right. Let's get back to the tribunals. You must understand when I tell you that they're all administrative agencies, especially when we're dealing with the Department of Motor Vehicles. Okay? That's an administrative agency. All acts of the agency by its employees, agents, hearing officers are null and void. Why? When they have no jurisdiction. See, pay attention. This just says vehicle traffic, so don't focus on the vehicle traffic part. Pay attention on the actual case law, because this is the city versus Pearson and Dolan versus Carr. An action by the Department of Motor Vehicles, whether directly or through a court, or through a court, they're acting through a court, sitting administratively enforcing statutes as a hearing officer, must be clearly defined in statute before it has subject matter jurisdiction. Without such jurisdiction of the licensee, consent, all acts of the agency, employees, agents, hearing officers are null and void. Okay? That's the problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, putting this video out there so that you can understand why you must shout, scream, holler. I resigned as the registered agent. I have withdrawn all consent. I do not consent. I didn't consent yesterday. I don't consent today. I do not consent. Consent is absolutely necessary. And I want to see proof that there is a license for which I've consented to these proceedings. It really is that simple. Tie them up with consent, jurisdiction. All right, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gents, that's what I wanted to bring to you today. Let's see if, well, we need you. And where's this thing says 19 hours. 19 hours. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing a lot. I am uploading 2 videos right now. Okay, that's at 18%, so that's why it's going to take 19 hours. Got a lot going on. So with that being said, I'm going to leave all of y'all to y'all day. I want to thank you for taking the time. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good life. Have a goodbye. Goodbye.